You already know that, though.
Basically illegally.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I try to operate within the parameters.
So I don't know if I said it to you live, Mike, but
Put that mic closer to you.
Why am I pulling it closer to me if I'm not staying?
You're gonna be there. I'm just gonna step off. There's no, my people stay out. That's fine. I can't be there and in the control of them. Say something. Each one of you talk. Let's see if we get some testing. 1, 2. Ain't getting nothing.
Brian, you're the man.
Not getting anything on that floor.
Well, you know, board also doesn't have a meter.
When I saw you walk off the floor in 2004, and I don't remember who was sitting next to me, but I remember saying to somebody, the Plainfield basketball story is not over. I didn't have any coach. I'm not saying that I had the answer. I'm just saying I said the Plainfield basketball story is not over.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah,
They were big.
that they hurt.
Yeah, hit the.
And the player wasn't Thompson.
Nah,
It was the white kid.
it was Matt Bentley.
He was tough.
I think he scored 32.
Yeah, he did. He missed one shot.
Yeah,
Half court heave at halftime.
yeah.
You know, it's funny how basketball is, man. I tell you, the game that we lost to Roosevelt Catholic made me feel really good about the season. Because Roosevelt Catholic played basically a perfect game, and they only won by 2 possessions.
But I think.
I mean, they shot 70% from three-point range.
Yeah.
With the officials who just came from the confessional with the
We
priest.
didn't get no calls. They shot 92% from the foul line.
I wasn't at that one because I had a family funeral in Maryland. And you sent me a text, and then I couldn't really, because I was at a funeral, I was like, Noel doesn't send me texts. And Noel sent me a text,
It's low.
and I was getting ready to get up on the stage to speak.
I can't even respond.
No, we're good.
You'll see, you know, all of them. 382. Okay, so each one of them, none of them are equal? Yeah, but they're not part of the time. You'll see these guys, because you got all the charts and stuff. They're all tied up. Yeah. I think you hear the people. It's coming out. You still going?
Every now and then. I'm getting back in shape. I lost myself.
Like this year is over with. The only thing that tops that, she become a grandparent. To me, it's better.
Yeah,
I like it.
really, you sit at home. You sit at home.
I still a mess out of my but it's more expensive, bro. It is. Not only that, I said no. No, because they'll be like, Papa, can you get me an $800 iPad? Like, what? Aren't your parents still both alive? Because I just talked to her 4 minutes ago when they dropped you.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, my daughter, she playing softball. I'm driving all the way out to Easton almost every other day, man.
yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
But I enjoy it. I mean, it's not like
fine. So when Warren was at Rutgers Prep, you wanted to go back? I'm going to go back. You know, all their games were out on Route 31. I was driving 100 miles a day after driving 50 miles for the school. Because 12 and a half up, then I come back home. 12 and a half to pick them up from the bus, come back home. Because sometimes Stephanie would be like, they're still in the locker room. You got to drop me back to Plainfield. I'd be like, what the? But you can't say that to your wife. You're like, okay, I'll drop you back home. I got nothing to do with my time. Drop her back home and then go back to the school to pick them up. And then some nights, you know, so-and-so's father forgot to pick them up. And those kids don't live in Franklin. You're driving to North Brunswick. Like, what?
my daughter, she gets upset now because she's like, you were so cheap.
They don't understand the, and they should understand once they become parents.
Right. That's your job now. Your job now is to be parent.
You know what one of my kids told me once? Stephanie's. Her daughter says,
Yes.
Noel,
I am dark.
I'm dark. You can afford, Noel, you can afford to help me with my rent. You're paying $30,000 a year for Warren to go to school. I said, first, I'm not your father, I'm your stepfather, so I have no need to lie to you. I have never paid $40,000 for a child to go to school. If you did more than walk in the classroom and walk out, then maybe you would have went to school on an academic scholarship. But that's not something you understand. Oh, you're talking about me. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm telling you the truth. When's Hines going to announce what he's doing? Whenever.
Yeah, in due time. Yeah, not tomorrow.
Oh, it was, people thought it was tomorrow.
Yeah. You just got some things that they need to figure out.
Yeah, it'll come.
No rush. No rush, no rush.
Welcome to the Garage Podcast. I sent you the link so you want to share it. Oh, okay. What's happening, Mike?
What's going on? What's going on? All is well.
Should I put a light on? Yeah. Yeah, we get to controls. No, it's just, you can give me that water, Mike. Or Brian, grab that water.
I asked you, what's the future looking like? So now you got the target on your back now?
Yeah, I still owe you that update, bro.
They can see us.
Huh?
I said they can see us.
Yeah, I got messages on them. I asked you, what's the future
So you should introduce me.
So now you got the target on your back now?
Yeah, I still owe you that update, bro.
They can see us.
Huh?
I said they can see us.
Yeah, I got messages on them.
Talk to a nurse from your past. And you have to work.
I asked you, what's the future?
So you should introduce me.
So hit one, you gotta hit one, you gotta hit the camera and cut it.
I said they can see us.
So did you stop it?
No, I can't stop it. YouTube, once you started it, you can't stop it.
Who's your coach doing to?
All right, everyone. How y'all doing today? This is BC, and I'm coming to you from the Garage Podcast. And today we have special guests. We've been actually talking while we've been recording because this is our first podcast. I want to thank very special people that have actually helped support this effort. All right, everyone. How y'all doing today? This is BC, and I'm coming to you from the Garage Podcast. And today we have special guests. We've been actually talking while we've been recording because this is our first podcast. I want to thank very special each one of the guests kind of introduce themselves and tell a little bit of who they are. How y'all doing today? Why don't we begin with BC, and I'm coming to you from the Garage Podcast. And today we have special guests. We've been actually talking while we've been recording because this is our first podcast. I want to thank very special each one of the guests kind of introduce themselves and tell a little bit of who they are. How y'all doing today? Why don't we begin with BC, and I'm coming to you from the Garage Podcast. And today we have special guests. We've been actually talking while we've been recording because this is our first podcast. I want to thank
great insurgence of guards, with Jahab Muhammad, Dabney, Isaiah Epps, Tyrone Johnson, Baskerville. I can keep going on. There were so many guards that we've had. And now we see that resurgence with the guards now with Micah, Marcus, Devin, Deshaun. So we've been writing sports since about 2009 with started off with Augustine and Shield with Plainfield Sports News, and just trying to spread the good news of our Plainfield youth. You know, we have some great kids in this town, and we just want to make sure that they get their due credit. You know, these kids are really good. They're not only good athletically, they're good academically also. And contrary to some other people's beliefs, you know, our kids are really, really solid kids.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and let's introduce why we're really here? Because without this man, none of this would have been possible this year. I mean, I can tell you, over 30 years plus videotaping for Plainfield High School in reference to sports, I have never, ever seen so much. But we're going to get to that. Let's get to the man. He's sitting in the middle. He's the king of the town right now. He's riding high. Who are you? Without this man, none of this would have
Humbly,
been possible this year.
Coach
I
Mike
mean,
Gordon,
I can tell you,
Plainfield
over
High School
30
boys
years
basketball
plus
coach,
videotaping for
also a
High
Plainfield
School
basketball
in reference to
fanatic.
sports, I
I've been
have
around this thing for
never,
years
ever
as a
seen
player
so much.
and
But
now
we're
the
gonna
head
get to
coach.
that. Let's get to the
I'm
man.
happy to be
who's
here,
sitting in the middle. He's
and
the
I'm loving
king
it.
of the town right now. All right. He's riding So high. we have a Who special are you? thing that's going to happen. I'm going to have to actually
Humbly,
remove myself
Coach
from
Mike
being
Gordon,
on stage, but that's all
Plainfield
right.
High School boys
This is the
basketball
first time
coach,
we're broadcasting, and I will
also
be
a
back to you
Plainfield
every
basketball
Tuesday.
fanatic.
But at this time, we're going to invite a
around
very
this
special
years
guest.
as a
And with
player,
these two individuals
head
sitting
coach.
to the right and to the left of this
happy to
man,
be here.
you ain't going to get no more statistics than from coming from their mouth to your ears. So step to the mic, my brother. Remove myself
Coach
from
Mike
being
Gordon,
on stage, but that's all right.
High School boys
This is the
basketball
first time we're broadcasting, and I will be back to you every Tuesday. But at this time, we're going to invite a very special
Brian,
guest.
first we
And
want
with
to
these
thank
two
you
individuals
for
sitting to the
creating
right
this
and to the left of
space.
this man,
We look
you ain't
forward
gonna
to
get no
all
more
of the
statistics
great
than from coming from their
conversations
mouth
that will
to
come
your
from
ears.
here.
So step to the
We
mic,
wish you
my
nothing
brother.
but success, but for those that may not know, I guess they might live on Mars, but my name is Martin Cox, PHS class of 1979, proud president and founder of the Plainfield High School Alumni Association. Shameless plug. On May 3rd, we will have our 15th annual Hall of Fame inductions, inducting the class of 2020, 2021, which were both COVID delayed, and the class of 2025. And this is my 59th season around Plainfield Athletics. I don't know that there's ever been anyone that's been around for as long as I have, and I'm known throughout the state, the region, and certainly the country, in many colleges and universities on an athletic front. So thank you for the opportunity.
With that being said, I'm behind the camera. Take the paper.
Season around Plainfield Athletics. I don't know that there's ever been anyone that's been around for as long as I have, and I'm
We're back. So, I'm backstage, so you guys get in and handle the interview. We have a lot to talk about. We have probably an hour with Mike, but if it goes over a little bit, I don't think he's gonna stop it, so who wants to begin?
I'll start. The first thing was the connection to Plainfield, specifically Plainfield basketball. I think back, I have to mention where I really feel Plainfield basketball really started off, really taking off, and it was basically with our youth program. And I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Green, the late Mr. Green. He was responsible for a lot of the guys from back from 75, 76, and also the guys from the 83 state championship team. And it's interesting that now we see the program doing well. Terrence Johnson is running the youth league and the Yes League, and it seems like we have a great program where our youths are being developed and moving up step by step. And it goes right into our head coach's hands. Mike takes over. I always felt that Mike knows how to develop kids. I felt that Mike was an overachiever himself in high school, and he knows how to make people great players. But my connection with Plainfield basketball is just basically knowing the guys, being around them, knowing the coaches. Coach Zabriskie, Coach Perenni, Coach Del Harrison, Coach Parham. All these guys are great coaches. And I think they did a good job with Mike here. So right now I think we probably have one of the best coaches, I'm going to say, that Plainfield has ever had.
Sheesh.
Yeah, Mike has done some things this year that only one other coach has done. For example, there's only been, and Martin, please correct me because I know you have the information. There's only been one player that played at Plainfield High School and became a coach and won a state championship. Now there's two. So So there's only been 2 people in the history of Plainfield basketball, and according to NJ.com announcers, Plainfield's been playing basketball since the day of the Peach Baskets. So that's a pretty incredible statement to say, and we got history right here, right next to us.
Who the first one?
Correct.
Perini. Gotcha.
Well, there's actually been 3 guys that came back to coach at Plainfield. Del Harris, but he didn't win the titles, but we certainly would be remiss if we didn't mention Del Harris, who was a 2,000-point scorer at then Jersey City State College, over 2,000 points. He's in the Jersey City State Hall of Fame. Obviously, he led our team, one of the players that led the 83 team to the state title. And certainly when you talk about youth basketball, because none of us want to be called on this later, we'd have to mention Lenny Cathcart, who ran the program for many years, arguably provided the opportunity for T-Bone to develop and to continue the rich legacy of youth basketball in the city of Plainfield. And then there's a lot of people behind the scenes who write checks and do what's necessary to help, and parents make a commitment. But Mike, we don't want to hog the floor. We want to, give you the mic to talk about some things you'd like to talk about.
Oh man, I'm ready for the questions, to be honest. And we'll just go from there. I'm just happy to be here. I'm ecstatic about how the season went this year, and I'm looking forward to keep the program moving in the right direction. But I definitely want to thank the community for this season. They showed up and showed out, and it was major for our kids. All their dedication, their sacrifice. There was a lot of hard work that went into this season. I wish it was a little more documented, but thank you to the community.
Well, we're going to certainly work on that piece. Some of the things we need to mention, obviously, co-champions of the Watchung Union County Conference Watchung Division. Certainly, county champions for the 5th time in school history. State champions for the 5th time in school history. A 16-game winning streak, which is tied for the 3rd longest in school history. The longest is the 74-75 team that came out of the gate with 25 straight wins. Unfortunately, concluded the season with a loss in the state playoffs, but 25 wins is the most consecutively. 2006-17 under Pete Vassell won 18 games in a row, and you guys have won 16 games in a row. When you look at this year's team, which finished 29-3, Mike, you guys only lost 3 games by a total of 14 points. And when I look back over the records, and fortunately today a lot of this is still committed to my head, so when they do the autopsy, I don't know what's going to come pouring out, but it's going to be pretty ugly. It'll probably be green, but certainly not Pat's green. But there haven't been many teams that accomplished what you guys accomplished. And if we could, we'd like to start about talk about the defensive proficiency. You played a game against, if I'm not mistaken, and hopefully Noel can correct me, 14 teams that were ranked in the top 15 in the state of New Jersey. I don't know another year that that's happened. We can't count what happened after the season because that doesn't go in the official records, but certainly that was an accomplishment too. But I've never seen us have a team that played that many highly ranked teams, and many teams were in the top 5. How did you go about preparing, Mike? Because young people are easily influenced. I'm not saying your team was, but young people are easily influenced, and sometimes what we say in the media is people read the press clippings. So if you read you're playing the number 1 team or the number 2 team, or this guy did so-and-so at the Peach Jam, or this guy did so-and-so in a summer league or fall ball or AAU, how did you keep your team focused on the mission, which was 1-0 each game?
We kept it team. Like, we literally kept everything team. I think for the most part, the outsiders are going to say X, Y, and Z. One thing I can't stand is when you start getting outsiders telling each and every kid they should be doing X, Y, and Z, or, you should be taking more shots, or... So for us, we try to keep everything in the locker room. I think that was the most important part for us. And then just keeping the mentality of 1-0. we literally took everything from game to game, not looking, ahead at anybody. As coaches, yes, you got to prepare. So, we were 1 or 2 games ahead. So my assistant coaches did an amazing job. Coach Griggs, Coach James, Coach Jackson, Coach Dre, Shem. Those guys did an amazing job preparing as we move forward. But for the players in the locker room, everything stayed 1-0. Most teams have 1 or 2 players that, can really get going. You don't see many teams that have 3 or 4 players that, on any given night can give you 15, 20 points. So our goal was to contain, most teams' best players, and then eliminate everybody else. So, everybody's been bragging about, Houston's defense and their toughness and their grit. And over the past, I would say, year and a half, because we modeled our defense starting last year about mid-season off of Coach Sampson, and just making our practices gritty, tough. So all the drills you seen going on the internet, we took some of those drills and we implemented into our style of play. We thought we were a more physical, more tough team. Every game we went into, there were some things and some teams that did, things that had us a little concerned. But we brought those concerns to the table. We went over them on the board. We went over it, out on the practice floor. Our guys committed to whatever we did as coaches. That's one thing I really want to commend our guys on. They really locked in on us and not the outside world. They listened to what we were saying as coaches because we're with them, I'm going to say 90% of the day, right? They get out of, school and they're with us for the rest of the day. So
Based on what you just
whatever
said,
we
there
did
was
as coaches, that's
you
one
guys
thing
were at
I
the
really
Metro
want to commend our guys on.
tournament. I'm
They
doing my
really
write-ups, and I was in the
locked
hallway,
in
and
on
one
us
guy came
and
up to
not
me,
the
a
outside
Piscataway
world. They
fan.
listen to what we were
His
saying
son
as
played
coaches
professional football,
because we're with them.
and he came up to me and he said,
I'm gonna say 90%
you know
of
what,
the day,
that Plainfield team
right?
is the most
They get out of
disciplined team in the
school
tournament.
and they're with us
How
for
do
the rest
you,
of the
I
day.
mean, that was probably the best compliment I've heard about Plainfield basketball program. How do you and the coaches keep the kids disciplined?
It's been something that we've, I guess, built over time because let's be real. When I first got the job here, we were okay. Like we had a really good, first season. I think we may have won maybe 15 games that year, and then we kind of went on a downslide. 2 years ago, 4 wins. I tell the kids I think that was probably the worst basketball team in Plainfield history. I don't know if that's the case, but I felt like that. You know what I mean? It was something that I wasn't used to. We were young, so the kids really didn't understand, what was happening. But that was the time that we took our lumps. The discipline part started around that time. Because why are we listening to everything on the outside world rather than being locked in to the things that we know we need to do to be successful? So the kids started taking heed to it. Their commitment, their dedication, and everything else started to form. And their brotherhood started to form. And I think that was one of the biggest things. They spent a lot of time together. They spent a lot of time together in the weight room. They spent a lot of time together AAU season, traveling all over the place, having dinners, lunches, etc. And that communication off the court just, molded those guys on the court. So I think, for us, it actually became a little easier to coach this year. It got to a point where the kids were actually running practices. Like it was simple. Hey, we need to do shell. Let's get in the shell, holding each other accountable. So, we started with the discipline, and then they started to hold themselves accountable.
Now, thinking back to when you had that season,
for us, it
several
actually
of those
became a
players
little easier
are on the team
to coach this year.
now.
Yeah, it got to a
How-
point where
how-
the kids were
how you
actually
kept
running
those
practices.
guys focused and following the process?
Nobody wants that feeling. You know what I mean? Like that was like a very bad time. Very bad time. Like 4 wins, and at any given time the kids could have quit. You know what I mean? Like they could have stopped playing and went and did another sport or have done whatever it is that they wanted to do. You know what I mean? But like I said, I thought as a coaching staff, we did a good job of really keeping them together. Telling them like, listen, man, you don't want this feeling again. You got to work. You know what I mean? Like that's all it really came down to. It really came down to work. And those guys committed. Went and did another sport. And worked their butts off, done whatever it is that they wanted to do. And this is the result. We just had an interest meeting today, and you had some of the 8th grade kids come up.
did a good job of really keeping.
And as coaches, we did our little spiel. Hey, listen, we got weight room starting up this week. Conditioning is be happening. You'll see the schedule for the summer. Dropping real soon. And then when we left, the guys that are going to be seniors took over the meeting. Like that shows that your program is heading in the right direction. And it wasn't something that, we was like, hey, you guys need to talk to them. No, we didn't do that. Those guys came to us like, hey, coaches, y'all can go. Like, we got them for the summer. So everything is, falling into place as of right now. And we just got to, keep things going in the right direction.
Mike, one of the things that was easy to watch, still know a couple guys that recruit for colleges. And one of the things that was very interesting to watch, just talk about the defense, was the conditioning. And I'm going to defer to Noel for a story. He and I talk sometimes daily, multiple times daily during the season, football and basketball, just about history and stats and those sort of things. But Noel, if you could tell the story about when